Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, no doubt every single one of you has seen all the information that came down a couple of days ago about the PlayStation 5, the reveal of exactly what it's going to look like, and also the games we should be expecting on release and into the future of the console as well. I could have brought a video to you guys much sooner about it, but I did miss the whole jump on it. Unfortunately, being a YouTuber that also works a full-time job, it's not always easy to be there when this stuff first comes out. So I did miss it initially at the 9 o'clock point on the night of release. And the next day I was working a full day as well, so I didn't really have a chance to do anything with it, but I did still want to talk to you about it. Now, I'm not going to be here to show you everything that you've already seen before, but what is quite nice when you are this late to the table with this information is the fact that there's been a whole wealth of comments to read through on a lot of people's different videos, different channels and everything else like that, and it is quite interesting to take on board exactly how the community is actually feeling about this reveal. So that's kind of what this video is all about. I just really want to hear from you guys down in the comment section exactly what you think of the games that have been announced so far. Whether you're really excited about Gran Turismo 7, which I'll get onto in just a second, or whether you feel like it looks a little bit too much of the same as GT Sport. And also, what are your thoughts on the actual look of the console? For me personally, I think it looks amazing and I really like what Sony have done with it. I love the fact that they've moved away from the blocky design of the last generation and are giving us something completely new. How it's going to be to live with, I do not know. All those curves might mean it's a bit of a nightmare to fit it amongst the stuff that you've already got on your shelves. But there is no denying just how good it looks. The one thing that I don't like about it is the fact that it only comes in white, and I'm sure they will do different models later down the line through the generation, and I'm sure we will see another black one, but for now we are just going to have to stick with the white. But getting back to what I originally said I wanted to talk about here, which is the community feedback that I've seen so far regarding this reveal, and it has been a real mixed bag. For me personally, when I first saw this information, which was the following day while I was sitting at work, I was really taken aback by the variety of games that they actually put on display. Compare that to what we've seen for the Xbox so far, and it feels like a real home run. But then when you read down in the comment section how people are taking it, there seems to be more negativity than I was actually expecting there to be. I understand that there is always going to be fanboys in those comment sections, and that's never ever going to go away. They all like to get their comments in there straight away when they had no intention of even purchasing that console in the first place. But with this one, it is a little bit difficult for me to completely wrap my head around. Now, I am going to give some viewpoints here which I'm sure a lot of people will strongly disagree with, but for me personally, the information that we've actually had come out about the PlayStation 5 makes the console look really impressive. And I'm not just talking about the information we've had from Sony, but from other people as well all over the internet, which are discussing particularly the SSD that they've actually implemented in the PS5 and just how it's going to work. Now, before I say anything else, I do want you guys to know that I am not a specific console lover. I don't particularly love PlayStation over Xbox. I still play a PC as well. I own all of the consoles. I kind of always have done, and I have different franchises of games within each of those sort of ecosystems that I really enjoy. So for me, it's always very difficult to specifically like one thing over the other. But this generation, it's been made perfectly clear that the Xbox exclusive games are all going to be available on the PC anyway. So for me, owning a PC and a PlayStation is going to be enough, and there's no real reason for me to buy that Xbox unless it does something exceptional that my PC can't possibly do. So for this generation, it definitely falls down to Sony to get this exactly right. And like I say, the information we've had so far about it looks like they're doing everything they possibly can to make this generation theirs once again. If you haven't been following the whole technical aspects of what the consoles are going to be doing, I can completely understand that it's not for everyone. For me personally, I find it quite interesting, and what I found more interesting than anything else, and I am going to link it down in the comment section, is a video that was actually put together by Linus Tech Tips, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with anyway. He runs a multi-million subscriber channel here on YouTube, and he is a very educated guy that knows a great deal about computing, how it all works, and everything else in between. But he actually issued a video which was an apology more than anything else about what he'd been saying about the PlayStation hardware and the fact that PC was going to be so much better once again. But for him to come back and apologise and actually set the sort of record straight, if you like, on what the PlayStation's going to be capable of doing means that there is a lot going on here that a lot of people don't actually understand. If the PlayStation can do what it's claiming it can do, then this could completely revolutionise gaming, and it'll be really interesting to see how it all works. From a PC standpoint, there's nothing much going on that is the equivalent to how that is going to work, so it might mean that even the high-spec PCs, if they want to be able to do what this PlayStation can do, you're going to have to be investing in some new hardware. Now, before I get lynched down in the comment section, I'm not talking about graphical power or anything like that. There are plenty of computers that are going to be far superior to the PlayStation when it comes out. However, the way it handles information, the way it can load it into the game quick enough that you'll never need a loading screen. You won't need anything to break up the story. You'll just be able to play through the entire thing without ever seeing any kind of weird loading is going to be, like I say, revolutionary. And it is something I'm really looking forward to seeing. But as I say, if you want to see some actual knowledgeable people talking about this, please check out that video that I've linked down below. He can explain it far better than I ever would be able to. And at least it gives you a better idea of exactly what is going to be going on in terms of processing within the unit itself. Now that's enough technical stuff anyway. I don't want to bore you all to tears. That's if anyone is still here watching this video. I could well just be talking to myself. But let's get on to the games now. There was a huge variety, in my opinion, that were all on display there. There was kind of something for everyone. Big hitters are going to be returning. Things like Horizon, which if you played the original, you will know just how good that is. And a second game to that series is going to be superb, so I can't wait to get my hands on that. Along with that, we've got Resident Evil returning, a Demon's Souls remake, and unfortunately, in my opinion at least, another remake of Grand Theft Auto 5. Please, Rockstar, just bring us a new Grand Theft Auto. I remember playing that game back on the Xbox 360, and although it is superb, it's got to be time for a bit of a change. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that feel exactly the same way, but unfortunately, while people keep spending money on the online aspect of that game, there's no real reason for them to change over. They're just raking the money in left, right and centre. So until we stop playing it, we're probably never going to see a GTA 6. But the real star of the show, certainly for me anyway, was the announcement of Gran Turismo 7. Now, we've been expecting it for quite a while. We kind of knew what they were doing with GT Sport in the sense that it's almost the prequel to the full game. We're getting all of the cars being added into the game. Everything's being tested, ready for that eventual GT7 launch. And now we know it is definitely on the way. One of the major things we don't know, unfortunately, though, is when it's going to be coming, and the likelihood of it being an actual launch title are very slim. Knowing the way these games work and how long Kaz likes to take over making each and every one of them, we could see this coming out way off into the distance. It could be 2 years away, it could be a year away, or you never know, it might be that Christmas this year we might be seeing it. But let's not get our hopes up too much, because the chances are it's pretty slim. That being said though, the information that we did get from the video they showed us is actually quite a lot, and it's some really nice bits and pieces in there which I'm personally very excited about, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. So from the video we know there are 5 confirmed tracks, although having said that, we can almost certainly expect to see every track that is in GT Sport coming straight into GT7 for release. But the 5 that they actually show in the video are the Northern Isle Speedway, Willow Springs, Trial Mountain, which is making a return, albeit it does look slightly different from the map that they show, and also we are going to be seeing Daytona. One of the first things you notice is the return to the GT4 style menu of GT Town. It looks really good. There is plenty of bits on there for me to talk about as well. The first thing you'll notice is that the used car dealership is back, which can only be considered a great thing. It's something that was definitely missing from GT Sport, but I don't know whether it is going to work the same way it used to. It would be quite nice to see them implement a kind of Forza system in GT7 here, so you can physically sell your cars to other people. It'd be a really good way to get rid of all those duplicates that you end up with. Also, hopefully, if they are doing it that way, all the modifications that you may have made to that vehicle will hopefully go with it and it won't just revert back to standard. It'll be something really nice to see, and it'll be a good way to actually transfer maybe different builds to other people. If I was doing a drift setup with all of the bits attached to it, I might then be able to sell it over to someone else so that they can use the car exactly as I personally use it. Along with that, obviously being a proper GT title, we are getting a full single player mode, which is going to include missions, special events, the championship and GT World as well. The one thing that is left out of this entire video though is whether there is a B-spec mode or not. It would be really nice to see that come back to the series as well, but there is no confirmation of that yet, so we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed for that. The other really big bit of news here is the fact that we have proper car customization coming back to the game. Now, the first thing that I noticed was the fact that you don't have to buy the parts with mileage points, which to me is such a good thing. I really have got very bored with that entire situation over on GT Sport, and the fact that you'll be able to earn credits and then buy the components you want should only be a fast improvement over what we've experienced over the last couple of years. On top of that, you will see that the brakes are coming back to GT7 as well, which is a huge part of the customization. Something, again, we haven't been able to do with GT Sport. So it's great to see that they are making a return. The customization itself is split over 5 different categories. You've got entry, city, sports, racing and extreme. Obviously, the further you're going up, the higher you are going to be rating those cars. And again, the performance point structure is back. So it will be interesting to see how the cars are reacting with one another within the different classes that are going to be there. And obviously, you will be able to take a really low powered car right up into a higher category and go and race it against something a little bit more prestige. But I guess with all of that, the big question is, will Group X be coming to GT7? I kind of hope not, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that feel exactly the same way. It is kind of a pointless category, and you end up just racing against the same exact car that you've got out anyway, because so many of them are so varied from one another, they just don't fit against each other. The chances are it probably is, unfortunately, but at the same time, again, it's just another one of those things you can keep your fingers crossed for that hopefully we won't see return to the game. Beyond all of that really juicy information that we got though, there is another part to what they released, and they actually gave us some gameplay footage. Now this is where the comments have been going absolutely nuts from what I've seen. To me personally, I think the lighting shows a huge improvement over GT Sport, or at least it does compared to what I'm playing, but I am playing on a PS4 Pro on a 4K TV, so I should be getting what is essentially the best version of GT Sport at the moment. But the way the light is reflecting and bouncing off of all the items in the video, I think it shows a huge amount of work has gone into this, and it definitely looks like it's going to be a better looking game. The one thing that I think everyone needs to take into account is the fact that they are watching these videos on YouTube. You're not getting a 4K quality video, and certainly not at 60 frames per second or whatever this is going to end up being when it's released. But I'm very hopeful that what we get is going to be a vast upgrade from what we've been experiencing with GT Sport, and I feel like it's really important that everyone bears in mind that they're not seeing the fully finished version of the game. So don't be too disheartened. Look forward to it. I think this is going to be something really worth waiting for. There's a lot of areas that still aren't mentioned, however, and a lot of things for us still to get excited about and hope that the information comes to us soon. I'd love to know how many cars we're expecting to see in the initial release of this game, and also I'd love to know if they do have DLC planned for this, or whether it is just going to be very similar to GT Sport, where they'll just trickle us stuff every single month. Only time will tell. We're not going to know any of this quite yet. But going back to what I said right at the beginning of the video, please do use that comment section down below. I really want to hear your feedback on the entire event, whether you watched it live, whether you're thinking of picking up a PlayStation 5, are you going to go for one with a disc tray or just go for the digital only unit? And also, what are your thoughts on all this GT7 information we've had so far? I hope I haven't offended anyone with what I've said today with any of the points at all. I'm certainly not a fanboy like I said before, but there is a lot to be excited about when it comes to this PlayStation release. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I've got videos coming out. I will have more updates as soon as I hear anything about GT7, or I say as soon as I'm able to actually put them out on the channel here. And don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed what I've put together for you here today. Thanks ever so much for coming by the channel, and I'll see you all on the next one.